You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network. New shows every day. Find us at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.
The first Sunday of the NFL season is here, and the excitement continues with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. DraftKings is giving all new customers a can't-miss offer to celebrate the return of the NFL season. Bet just $1 on any football game this weekend and receive $200 in free bets instantly, no matter what. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new customers $200 in free bets instantly when they bet at least $1 on any football game. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any Week 1 game. That's promo code THPN to get your free $200 in free bets instantly this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hi everybody, welcome to episode 79, season 2 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Let's get Mike in here. Look at that, Matt pretending he's producing this show. Today we're going to discuss the 2022 Winter Olympics. As we discussed in the last episode, there's a good possibility that it still might not happen. But we'll also take a look at Bishop Designs, Alex Nedeljkovic's new helmet. And what else we have, Mike? We have the prospect tournament roster ready to go with one notable missing name, which probably bodes well for him and his chances of being on this team.
Just want to start the show here. It only appears that my house is haunted. You may have seen that door crack open a second ago, and you'll hear the moaning of a medium hair-length gray cat. Not sure what's going on. I think he's in heat, and I thought we'd taken care of that years ago. Brennis, good evening. Hope
also, our boy Tristan here, letting us know he's trying to share us as much as he can on Reddit. He wants to get us. He wants to get everybody hyped about Wyatt Newpower. He's Mike, we'll go through our list of guys I'm most intrigued, and I tweeted this out earlier from the prospect tournament. Wyatt makes the list over another name that I actually got some flack for on the old Twitter. But Tristan, glad you're here. We miss you. I think the last time the whole gang was together, I think we caught you right on the end. So I'm glad you're here. But yeah. Mike, how are you doing?
Doing good. Every time I read Wyatt Newpower, I can't remember if that is a Red Wing prospect or if that's going to be the new name for Wendell Rotunda when he's in AEW. Can't wait for Wyatt Newpower to debut on Dynamite here on TNT.
More AEW references.
Woo!
Mike
It's real. It's real, man. You want to know what's going on with me? Brian Danielson. Woo! You might know him as Daniel Bryan.
There's no doubt in my mind that Mike has up AEW Dynamite while we record right now. So I'll do my best. I'll do my best to keep you focused.
Yeah, that's what was up with me. We just lost power. We got power back just for this show. DTE knew this is a special episode where we'd be talking about Red Wings. Going to the Olympics. Just in general. Yeah, they didn't need much more than that. But I also let the DTE rep know that it was going to be a special Olympics-themed episode.
Well, Mike, the first segment we have today is actually starring yourself because you're the one who actually texted this to me and our father. And, of course, that means we're starting with the Pedersen offer sheet.
Can I say that we need new music for that? Because that, just for a second, I thought, holy shit, we signed him. Like, it was too
It's too real.
Yeah, it sounds too much like a newsreel. I thought we had breaking news, which we do not.
Yeah, we don't. It's just the watch. It's it's not a warning yet. Like if it was a tornado, we're still looking for tornadoes. We're still looking for Pedersen to touch down in Detroit, which has not happened.
We're just in that pickup truck in Nebraska, just scanning the countryside, looking for that Eisenman tornado to touch down. No, nothing yet. All right,
we got our trash can full of balls with Bill Paxton in tow.
That's a reference appealing to two people. Twister, everybody, get on it. Great PG-13 action thriller.
Mike, what did you text me? What was that, yesterday or this morning about Pedersen?
I know that I texted. Let me get the transcript here because I'm pretty sure I texted that I hate the NHL. And I said, "How have we still not sent EP an offer?" And yes, I can confirm that I did also text, "I hate the NHL."
Also, Tristan up on it. Twister's the best.
My man!
I think this is Tristan. Is that the that face? Is that an orgasm? What do we look? What's the emoji? It's so tiny on my screen. It looks like there's some pleasure. Could be some pain.
It's kind of like a pleasure moan, like an Yeah, I think that's what Tristan was going for on that one.
So this is what everybody misses when they only listen to the podcast and don't watch it on YouTube. Mike, so I'll just jump in there.
Because you know what I started doing? I'm tired of following the Red Wing feed because they got nothing. So I'm trying to follow the Canucks feed from my hockey news affiliates. And it's just kind of business as usual. Nobody's panicking. It's a non-story. Nobody's saying, why haven't we signed him yet? There's no hand-wringing, no molars being ground. It's all me. It's just me because I guess I don't know why this still hasn't happened yet, man. The only thing I've seen is that, it's going to be a little tough. It's going to be a little tough to sign him, because he's probably going to want, maybe 7 to 10, picks. And then, there's some other dinkus, one tier down who's going to need about 2 to 3 million. So they're just waiting for that to even out. And I just don't understand why we're not swooping in, AEW style. Just AEW style, put an offer out on Bryan Danielson. Just see what happens.
It's offer sheet season. Why not? I still just wanted to jump on that because I do enjoy having that as our episodic segment.
Yes.
So let's we'll keep moving on. Clearly, there isn't really much to report.
I thought you had an answer for me. I thought you had an answer why nobody signs these restricted free agents. It's not that many draft picks.
Well, like we've talked about before, I think the main issue is the GMs and the owners across the league are too buddy-buddy. Like the thing that happened with Carolina told me that the Hurricanes just don't have those relationships because they saw it as, they took it personally with Sebastian Aho. And of course, as I reviewed in the last episode, I said that's why Carolina lost that whole ordeal was because Carolina started taking things personally, and now they have Jesperi Kotkaniemi on their team for a very high dollar amount. They have to pay him if they're going to match the next season, that very high dollar amount. And they don't necessarily have like the most open of spaces for him to even really fit in. I see a lot of people throwing him in on the third line like he was playing for Montreal. So you're paying $6 million for a third liner. Maybe that's not the case, but it's just, it's one of those things like this is the only situation that we've run into where that actually, this happened. And look at what a clusterfuck it turned into, because even Montreal, I feel like, jumped the gun with trading their draft picks for Christian Dvorak, who is also an overpaid individual. So they went from not overpaying their own guy to putting another older guy on their roster who's arguably also overpaid. So, there it is, right? Like, that's why you don't do it, I guess, is this situation, or that would be an argument as to say, look what happened as a result because you offer sheeted one guy. And that's probably something Steve wants to stay away from, but I don't know, like you said, like, just give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Like, worry about your own team. But that's where Carolina failed, right? Like, they they weren't necessarily worried about their own team. Montreal was trying to get Sebastian Aho for their own good. And I think they continued to worry about their own team as they put the ball back in Carolina's court and said, all right, give us your draft picks. You can see what you can do with Kotkaniemi. But Montreal then fails when they do their trade. It's very complicated, but I'm ready to move on to the next.
It just depresses me. Let's move on to something, Matt. Where I know the Red Wings have been in the doldrums for, my God, it's been 5 years now. But shockingly and maybe lockingly, see what I did there? Some of us are going to be on those Olympic teams, Matt. I don't know which country you want to start with.
Before we do that, we have our prospect tournament roster.
No!
That's next on the list. Mike's jumping the gun. We are gonna talk the Olympic roster. But this. We'll get into this real quick because we also we got the comment here too from Tristan about the prospect tournament. So here's what we're looking at right now. Our prospect tournament roster. As I noted in the intro of the show, there's one name that is missing. But if I could, I will go through who I felt were the most intriguing names, and I'll just throw out there, since I already said Wyatt Newpower earlier, Wyatt's on that list. I obviously am excited to see Lucas Raymond, who I had missing from my list, and this is where I got some flack, is Joe Veleno. But I still make the argument. I feel like he's pretty solidly in this roster at some point. So I'm less curious to see what Veleno looks like. And really, it's just one of those things where it's going to be nice to see him. Kirill Tutayev, Mike, as we talked about when he was first signed. And I think I nailed the name there. But he's on my list because this is a guy that I feel like nobody knows anything about. So this could be something where he could really stand out and maybe not like make the Red Wings, roster with an amazing performance in this prospect tournament, but at least he'll add to our list of guys to be excited about. And then I finished off the list with Donovan Sabrango, but who I haven't said yet, and is number one, is Sebastian Cossa. So I feel like that right there is the most intriguing name to be on this prospect tournament roster, because goalies are so unknown, and we play this game all the time, is how long do we have to wait to see these guys? And I feel like this is going to give us a very good idea of maybe not what a timetable is, but at least how excited can we be? Are we going to watch a game and be like, oh shit, all right, 4 to 5 years? or can we be excited and watch some of this tournament and be like, all right, 2 to 3 years is a possibility. So I think that's where my excitement starts, is with Cossa and what can happen there.
Yeah, if you want to see, I think what you just mentioned, overreactions, positively or negatively, I think with this prospect pool is ripe. I think people are either going to be drooling or just devastated by the performance over a 4-day weekend. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm so tired of reading about Cossa. He had great numbers, but who's his competition? And now he's going to be out there, against really strong prospects. So I'm excited for him to have a chance to shut some people up. I'm excited for us to have some dirt sheet, some NHL dirt sheet on Newpower. I can't wait for him to prove some people wrong. I don't know if we're going to see a lot out of Raymond. I know we're hoping to. I know we want to see a lot out of Berggren. Those are the big sexy names. But those tickets are like, Matt. Those tickets are only $10.
Yeah,
Matt, they're only $10 a day. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm not up there. Probably because my 2 kids. Those little pieces of garbage are ruining my life. No,
just buy little Red Wing jerseys, and the missus will let you drag them along.
Well, I love when Tristan's here because he's got the lowdown. His passing is unreal. Kirill Tutayev. His passing is unreal. His hands are elite. Tristan's got him lined up as a top 9 potential. And I love that too, because what we're probably seeing there, if a guy's got that top 9 potential, is and I'm going to say this based on his size. Tristan, you could correct me. I don't want to type into Google right now. It's like 5'9" or 5'7". He's somewhere in that range. It's going to be really funny if he's 5'8". But Kirill's a really small guy. He's easily the smallest prospect we have. But that's, of course, we just saw Caulfield have a ton of success and make it look easy. And of course, he had a blast too. He's probably one of the happiest hockey players I've ever seen. But point being, you get this guy going on your NHL roster. I think you're slotting him in on the power play. So you want to see a guy with that skill like Tristan's talking about. Because number one, you don't want him to get laid out. But number two, that's where I see these like creating like a power play specialist. And Caulfield, I think, is going to be on that way, the way that he played, where he found success with Montreal this past season. I think that would be huge. So you got to fit him somewhere. So I like where Tristan's at with top 9 potential. So he makes that team, but ultimately you want to see that that boy using those hands, find some success on the power play. I think that's it for me on the prospect tournament roster. I think there's going to be more to talk about once we can actually see some of these games. But like I said, those are the guys I'm excited about. Joe Veleno, for those of you that were upset with my answer on Twitter, only less excited because I'm already slotting him in as on the roster. So we already know what's up there. So Mike, topic of the show.
One more topic before we go.
Oh shit.
I'm going to put in a bid for us to get a media credential, and I'm going to try and drive up there.
Oh my God.
I'm going to let them know that we talked to Ken Cal twice.
No, that'll work. That's the trick.
Fingers crossed for us here.
Now I got to segment that out on YouTube, like as a segment for this. Do the little number linking. Go to 16 minutes, 40 seconds to hear Mike say he's heading up to Traverse City to watch everybody play. Tristan's got it, 5'9", 170 pounds for Korea. We'll just throw that in there as the fact, besides the thing that Matt could remember off the top of his head. Oh my gosh. Here's Tristan, Joe Swoleno. If anybody saw that Twitter post, keep an eye out for that. And a quick shout out to Performance Art. Hola, how you doing, Performance Art? I'm glad to have you on board. Yeah. All right, so Mike, topic of the show. Let's jump in here. We're going to talk Red Wings.
I thought Tristan just brought it up. Shredded Veleno. I mean, I don't want to see these games anymore. Let's see those shirtless practices out in Traverse, my man. Woo! All right.
He is ripped, by the way. You guys go check the Instagram, the Twitter. I think it's on Twitter because everybody was sharing it. But yeah, he was letting everybody know that he's
the Julian Salad of the Detroit Red Wings.
So, like I said, topic of the show. I do want to steal this. Kind of Funny podcast actually does this. They call it Tots, and I like Tots, but it's topic of the show. I kind of want to. I like it. Oh yeah. Maybe I'll do a graphic of Tots, and then Kind of Funny will come after us. All right, Mike, a couple of details I went over.
I like topics in the show, but...
A couple of details I went over in the last episode for the Olympics. So we'll jump in here, and I just want to remind everybody that the NHL and NHLPA can still back out if the COVID-19 situation worsens. So one of my favorite podcasts, Puck Soup, has been bringing this up, and that was actually even before they made the announcement that they were going to the Olympics, that the NHL would probably fit that into some sort of agreement to go so that they'd still have some room to back out. Because as we all know, as we've seen in the past, the NHL absolutely does not like sending their talent over there. And according to a memo sent out to players, the IOC and the IIHF refused to pay for the cost of insurance for any COVID-related illnesses. So... I mean, that's it right there. You're pretty much in this situation now for if you want to mix in the NHLPA, but the players as well, you're fitting your own tab now if something happens medically. So the NHL is going to do one of these, and everything going on in the Olympics is going to be like, you decided to come here. It's your choice. So no, not fun, but a couple of Olympic details. So I bring that up just to kind of put a level head on us actually going to the Olympics as the NHL, as Detroit Red Wings fans, watching our Red Wings play. But a couple of important dates, Mike. Of course, the games start for the hockey tournament on February 9th, and they run through the 20th. Now, initial rosters for all of these teams have to be submitted by October 15th. So we are a little over a month from that point here on September 8th. But the official rosters will be announced on end of January 2022. Now that's important because when you're putting these teams together, injuries can happen, and that's where maybe some of this conversation will go with some of the Red Wings who are definitely locks, and then there's some that we're going to dub Mike would be absolute shocks if they made it to the team, because I really feel like the guys that are locks are just flat out locks. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I've gone through, some different projected rosters and everybody pretty much lines up. There isn't really a Red Wing that's making it to an Olympic roster that's like an edge guy, a fourth line guy, could be in, could be out. Most of them have a pretty sure spot. Actually, let me check the comments here. We're getting quite a bit. We just got the Joe Veleno conversation going. Everybody talking about Joe. So why don't we jump in here, Mike? I don't know if there's a country you wanted to start with, but if
Germany.
we could, for anybody that is listening to just the podcast, not watching our vodcast, here's what you'll hear if they're a lock.
Right. See, kind of like a locking sound. I see.
Exactly,
okay.
Little mechanism there. And if we are shocked. All right.
A little dubstep. Gotcha. Because it's a shocking music choice for a couple of non-EDM fans. Gotcha. All right.
If I could pull back the curtain,
yes.
Matt downloaded a shocked MP3, an electrical shock, and it turns out there was a company that didn't want me to steal it, so they had a talking part that said the company's name. So I cut that off, and then I slowed down the shock. So that's why it sounds like dubstep.
That's why you buy it at the butcher, you guys, so you can hear how the sausage is made. Love it.
All right, Mike, you said you wanted to start with Germany. Who could possibly make this Germany team? All right, of course, we're talking Moritz Seider.
Gonna make the team. Captain Mo Seider, man, leading the Germans all the way.
Sorry.
Now,
that time it took a second to load into the live show, so that's why it went over you talking. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think the captain of the German team there, and Matt, that sound effect reminds me a little bit of that contract I'm locked into with Xfinity, where I'm going to be fucked if I try and leave that for AT&T. So. I don't know if there's a lot to really dissect on this one. I think the Germans are, rubbing their hands together, very excited for, maybe the top defenseman in the history of professional organized hockey, Matt.
Yeah, I guess the only interesting part of this is that, Seider should be lining up in that first pairing as well for Germany. So that's going to be fun, too. As we go through these lists, you guys can try and pick who your favorite team's going to be, which maybe it'll be the Czech Republic, Mike, because this one might be a little easy for everybody to guess how this is going to roll out, because we've got a first-line guy, potentially. We almost have two first-line guys, but definitely two top six forwards and a top-pairing defenseman, Mike, lining up for the Czech Republic. We'll start with Mike Jakub Vrana. All right, that might get old. Should we just say all three are locks?
Am I in Alcatraz? Oh
no! All right, Jakub Vrana, Filip Zadina, and Filip Hronek. Your three boys heading over to the Czech Republic. This isn't even close. These guys are going to have a great spot on this team. They're going to be able to make a huge difference. And this is where we have the Czech mates. And I still like the Czech mates, because that allows for more Czech players to be added to the Detroit Red Wings later. So you've got Vrana, Zadina, and Hronek. It doesn't necessarily mean it's only two guys. Doesn't even mean it's only three guys. So a lot of space here. So everybody keep your eyes on that Czech Republic team, because we could find some new fresh Red Wings along the way.
I dig it, Matt. Let's bring it home for a minute. We got because we get to use a different sound effect. That's why I'm pumped to do this one. Yeah. U.S. bringing it home. That's where many of us are from if we're listening to this show. Matt, Dylan Larkin, I'm going to say he's an Alcatraz. Am I right?
It's our lock. Clear. I mean, this is somewhere in the top 9. You're going to have a Dylan Larkin fit in. Probably the third line, only because you want to slot him in as a center. Somebody that, I mean, across from like the national perspective for the NHL, like a guy that has been highly touted and people have been excited to see him play in the Olympics, which we love Dylan Larkin here, but that still surprises me, especially with really he's probably going to slot in on the third line and God forbid the fourth line. But Dylan Larkin, easily a lock. I do want to throw this out there. Tristan has a question. Can a player play for a team by which both his parents were directly born there, therefore that's technically his nationality? I'm thinking of a guy like Nedeljkovic, who's Slovakian. Now, curious enough, we have him locked in for Team USA. Or I'm sorry, not locked in. That's where this conversation's going. We have him as a shock for Team USA. So I will confess, and this is a good question moving forward, but officially Nedeljkovic is listed as American across every platform. So we're talking pop-up for Team USA. So that's where my head's at with Nedeljkovic. But that being said, like I screwed up the wording, Mike, we would be
shot.
Now, I put Nedeljkovic in there because we'll go through the list of guys that are ahead of him right now, potentially. And I'm saying that where we talked about the initial rosters are going to be put in October 15th and there could be injuries, this is where Nedeljkovic could slot in if he has the same type of performance that he had last season in Carolina. So if he has similar numbers, I don't know how you look at that and look at a guy who was at the very top of the league for goals saved above expected, would be right there with Connor Hellebuck, who we're about to mention in a second here. And why wouldn't you want him backing up Connor? But here's this competition, Mike. And clearly the top 2 guys on this list are Connor Hellebuck and John Gibson. But the third spot, this is where there's space for him. But unfortunately, there's 2 more names considered with a better potential to make this team, Thatcher Demko and Jack Campbell. Now, I mean, we could look at Jack Campbell and Nedeljkovic and maybe already put on some rosy glasses and say, yeah, of course Nedeljkovic is better than Jack Campbell. I'm just going to say, for the sake of looking at like across like hockey writers, I took a peek at ESPN, Sportsnet, TSN. These 4 names are the only 4 names that pop up besides the one time I saw Nedeljkovic pop up on like Reddit. So here's that's the game we're playing, is can Nedeljkovic fit in and maybe a third spot if we have a couple of injuries, or if he really plays his nuts off from now until the official rosters have to go in. So that's where I'm saying Nedeljkovic has a shot, but we would be shocked.
I think that it's not, if he makes it, it's not going to necessarily be like he, maybe necessarily outplayed all 4 of those guys. I think it might have more to do with, do you want to be the third string Olympic goalie, or do you want to take a break and kind of, prepare yourself for like a Stanley Cup run? But I don't know. Maybe that's the only reason I could see Hellebuck not playing, is if he wants to, maybe rest up a bit. But I mean, if we're talking goalies for like the Ducks and the Canucks, especially after the Canucks lose, Pettersson to the Red Wings, they're going to have guys who are going to, be able to go to the Olympics there, because they're not going to be worrying so much about playoff seeding and things like that. I know that kind of transcends, the other sports that play in the Olympics. It does feel like, I don't know, Matt. Do you think there's any credence to that theory or no?
I think these guys do want to win some Olympic medals. So I don't know if any of them are going to turn down the opportunity to play for their country and play in the Olympics when they know how incredibly hard it is to get the NHL to agree to go. So I think they all want to take advantage of that if they get that shot. I would hope that something like that popped up, but honestly, looking at the names, I guess like the fourth guy on this list of Campbell has a good shot, but then Connor Hellebuck. So that even that conversation, you're asking the best goalie on the list, or I guess we are asking as Nedeljkovic fans for Hellebuck to step aside, go focus on the Jets, and we'll let Nedeljkovic step in. But I did want to mention too. We had the release mic, like I mentioned earlier in our. I completely forgot to do this segment, but Bishop's Designs released what Nedeljkovic's new hat's going to be looking like.
All right, I can see some red and white here. Looks like he plays for Detroit. There's a big old D on it. Not that kind of D, a Detroit D.
There's a big mix. There's the theme is just everything Red Wings, because I see some octopus arms. We have multiple I guess, I don't know, references? Just era, there we go. Red Wing era jerseys featured on here with the old English D script that was used in a couple of Winter Classics ago. And then just the big old spelled out Detroit, which was those original jerseys for this organization. I don't even think, was that Red Wings or was that Red Hawks or one of those other ones? But anyway, multiple eras figured on here. I think it looks pretty cool. I think it'll look even cooler on the ice, and with those away jerseys is kind of what I'm thinking would be a nice little contrast there. But
it's okay. I mean, I think it's appealing if you're 75 years old. I would have put maybe some slices of Little Caesars pizza on mine. No.
Sure. All right, so moving on. Let's go on over to Switzerland, because this is one I actually forgot would even be a thing. That's our boy Pius Suter, Mike. He, to me, is a lock. All right, so you love that so much. Do you know how long it took to make those graphics? So Pius has probably got locked in somewhere a middle six center position for the Swiss team. I think that's kind of fun. It's something for me where if you take a look at the Switzerland team, there aren't a ton of names that are standing out to get you excited that they're going to go for a long run. But if they sneak through and make it to those, the second rounds and try to take down some of the big guns, it'll be fun to know that we've got a little Pius to root for.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was going to be. I have some projections on a couple sites, and they all have him as like a second line center. So pretty impressive for him to be a second line Olympic center. But I mean, he's probably going to be doing that for the Red Wings too. So get used to being the second best center on a team. But Matt, I think the toughest one, and you have it in, is the shock. We're going to talk about Raymond.
Yeah, Lucas Raymond, Mike. If he made the Olympic roster for Team Sweden, that would be a shock. I've seen him pop up on a couple of notable writers' blogs. I mean, this is a guy who wasn't necessarily crushing it. For his age range, he absolutely was crushing it on Frölunda and in the SHL. From the league-wide perspective, not necessarily. So, I mean, that argument would just go to say, if there aren't enough pro-level NHL Swedish players, which there are, and we can go through the list, why would there be space for Lucas Raymond right now? Well, that space would be up for grabs. And Mike, I'm not going to run through this whole roster, but we do have it in front of us. 4 lines of particularly fantastic forwards coming from Sweden. But even the final cuts, this was coming from TSN.
Can you just read the final cuts? exemplify how bleak it is for Lucas to make this upcoming Olympic team.
Right. Keep in mind the veteran status of some of these players and how long this list is. But it's Jacob Silverberg, Carl Soderberg, Cal Yarncroc, Patrick Hornqvist, Andreas Janssen, Gustav Nyquist, and Anton Lander. This list.
These are the guys not making the team.
These are the guys not making the team. There's still the spares that TSN is projecting of, I guess, Victor Olofsson and Emil Bemstrom. So he'd have to fit on a spare line at that point, or a spare section for guys that can join the team if there's any injuries once the Olympics start. So it's a long shot, I would say at this point. And the kind of, when I took a look at this team, it looks like they're trying to skew away from younger, besides Elias Pettersson being on there. And actually the guy I just mentioned, Emil, is pretty young as well. But I mean, they're not really giving the Lucas Raymonds a shot. And there's guys like we mentioned. I mean, if you took a look at Sweden, wouldn't you ask, after the 2 SHL seasons last year, wouldn't you ask Berggren to join the team before you ask Lucas Raymond? Just to, I mean, put it in perspective as honestly and truthfully as I can. You're really playing this player projects to be great game if you think Lucas Raymond is going to make the Swedish team this year, which I think we can all agree at this point that Lucas Raymond is going to be great based on what we've seen, based on what we've been told, and fingers crossed. But right now, it's just not going to happen. That's where how many injuries I think would need to stack up for him to make this team.
Can I ask you something? And if you don't know the answer, it's okay. We could do some research on it and get back to it in the comments. But do you happen to know, like, when they set up these teams to go practice, like how many extra guys they allowed to like just come and kind of be in the wake? So like, could Raymond potentially just kind of be there to get a taste, even if he's not going to make the team, or not even be one of the last cuts?
I suppose that's absolutely potentially a thing. But I mean, if I'm not going to be on that roster, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to go have fun. Maybe I'll watch the games. I'll go to the local bar. I'll go to the hotel bar and watch a couple of them. But I'm probably going to Hawaii. Yeah, I'm going to have fun if I don't make these teams. That's where my head's at. Tristan has a good question. I actually have an answer for this. Well, he does say hypothetically, so everybody just consider your answer to yourself. Couldn't Victor Brädström vie for a spot as a Swedish goalie? I think, what's funny? I think what would be pretty cool, this was the idea, is lining up those utility spots, because as I mentioned, and as you just brought up, Mike, Lucas being over in the area, if there's enough injuries, can he still slot in there? I think everything's solid and official, but if you had a utility guy, which I think is what Tristan's asking about, like in baseball where, the Tigers would have Brandon Inge. He played every position in one night. To have a guy slot in as a utility guy just in case things didn't work out. I kind of like that. Now, Mike, there's another Red Wing on the Swedish team we haven't talked about yet. He's just not officially a Red Wing. Elias Pettersson, Mike. He's a lock. All right. Mike, I think we went over everybody here, but I have one left.
I know who this is.
We've dubbed either to be a lock or to be a shock to be on this team. So I switched it up, Mike. For Team Canada, I said, call the Doc. Oh, that's right, Matt. Oh, what a silly goose. Because in reference to how many guys...
Is there a graphic for that?
No, there isn't.
Do you have like a guy coughing?
I'll just say it took me like an hour and a half to render these stupid things, so that's how I didn't get my call the Doc. But how many guys would have to be hurt for Tyler Bertuzzi to make the team? But if we take a look at his points per 60, he could actually find some space on this team. And we know that Tyler's, a little more scrappy than some of the names you're going to find on the Canadian Olympic team. I almost said all-star team, but it is an all-star team. So that, that idea of having a guy that can actually do more than one thing isn't. I don't want to take a dump on any of these guys from Canada because they're all the best players, in the league, which is, just really sucks for everybody else that's going to be trying to win some gold this upcoming year. But the point I'm trying to make is that you do have like Brad Marchand on the team. But don't you want like another guy that's a solid two-way forward that also points per 60 wise last season, despite playing not a ton of games, still had a pretty good go at being, a pretty solid spot in points per 60 in regards to comparing yourself to the rest of this roster.
Maybe that's where you pose it to the people. For the projected wings, not Red Wings, like left and right wings on Canada's roster, whose spot would Bertuzzi take to get on there?
So I'm going to go by... This is Johnson from he's from TSN. He has Mitch Marner down on the fourth line. Now, a lot of people would look at the two salaries between the two boys and scoff at that idea. But if Mitch Marner has another slow, clunky start, as he did last year, this really is just picking the name, right? This is picking the Toronto Maple Leaf would kind of be my argument with looking at this fourth line for having Mitch Marner slot in there. I would say that's my fingers crossed like spot. Like enough guys would also have to get hurt. Like even if we took a look at the spares, it's really stacked against Tyler. So this is where we're calling it call the doc. Of course, I never got to finish the thought there, but the call the doc is in reference to how many guys are going to have to be close to the morgue before Tyler can sniff this roster. But when I'm looking at Canadian players on the Red Wings, I think I'd put Tyler as number one right now. But even the spares, as we mentioned before with some of the other teams, it's Matt Barzal and John Tavares. So, I mean, if I had to pick for the Detroit Red Wings, if I'd rather have Tyler Bertuzzi or Matt Barzal or John Tavares, I'm picking those other two guys. So it's again, we're having fun here. A lot of things are stacked against Tyler. A lot of things would have to go his way for him to make it on this team. But that's the fun game we get to play with looking around at this. I should say too, I'm talking about this roster, the Canadian roster, as if everybody can see it, and only I can see what I'm looking at right now. But I mean, Connor McDavid is slotted in on the second line on this roster that's been built out. Oof. Just to give you an idea of how absolutely stacked the Canadian team will be. They, of course, put Sidney Crosby on the first line, which, sure, I guess. He's been around long enough. Just let him be on the first line. It'll be cute. But I mean, yeah, it's Marchand, Crosby, Bergeron. Then Huberdeau, McDavid, Mark Stone, Ryan O'Reilly, Nathan McKinnon, Mark Scheifele, Sean Couture, Braden Point, and Mitch Marner. And then, like I mentioned, the extras are Matt Barzal and John Tavares.
Well, Couture is the one I was going to cherry pick and go against. And I guess only because Hockey Reference has him as an American. So I thought maybe we could, sign a petition to get him kicked off the Canadian team. And that's where Bertuzzi could kind of worm his way in there and be that last forward who makes the cut. No?
No, I'm going to throw Tristan in here too. Bert is on third line for Canada's B team. And that's the best context right there of how many guys would need to be on their way to the morgue for Tyler to get that shot. It really is stacked against Tyler. Like I said, I brought this up because I did want to at least give Tyler a shout out here. He's probably our best Canadian opportunity to make it on the team. So yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. But I do like Tristan is also ready to run through a wall against TSN here, letting letting them know that top line ought to be McDavid and not Crosby. I still think Crosby's getting that first line because he's got that amazing goal for Team Canada. They're gonna. It's like the honorary first line center position. Default to Sidney Crosby.
This is all best case scenario. I mean, we've already seen Crosby's. Isn't he out for 6 weeks already?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the wrist. Wow. Yeah, maybe. All right. So we got one down. One down. Got about 20 guys to go. 20 forwards before Tyler can slot in there.
We're gonna have to get a meme of like American Sniper, but with Bertuzzi just like lining up the shot and taking people off the Canadian team. That's one.
Yikes.
Not like in death, but like, on their wrists and ankles.
Yeah, rubber bullets. Of course, rubber bullets.
Yeah.
All right.
Hockey pucks.
That wraps up all of our show topics. I don't think we have anything else to discuss. It's time for us to watch our new favorite wrestling program. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys will hit us up in the comments with let us know how many players you think need to go down for Tyler Bertuzzi to slot in. Let us know if you actually think Lucas Raymond is a lock. Were we wrong on that one? I guess, what do you think? We'll bring up Tristan's question. Do you think Nedeljkovic is going to be traveling to where his parents' native land so that he can actually be on an Olympic roster? I like that as well. So hit us up in the comments. I'm glad everybody stuck around that's watching now. Thank you guys so much. And we will see you probably Sunday morning. All right. Have a good one,
Sounds
everybody.
good.